what's up? This is ETSki Tutorials and welcome to FPS 1.12. In this episode we're going to learn how to make a timer for shooting bullets. So basically what this means is that we're going to learn how to create the code that says this is how many times per second we're going to shoot a bullet. So it can either be 30 bullets a second, 15 bullets a second, or a bullet every 2 seconds. We'll be able to define that amount of time for each different gun. And then we're going to learn how and where to create a bullet and to only fire a bullet when we're holding down left click. So yeah, let's get started. Here's the variables that we're going to be using today, and the first one is fire speed. Now this is going to be a number that determines the number of bullets per second that we're going to shoot. So if we want to shoot 30 bullets a second, we're going to set this number to 30. If we want to shoot 1 bullet a second, we're going to set it to 1. If we want to shoot a bullet every 2 seconds, we're going to set it to 0.5. So the larger the number, the faster our gun is going to shoot. Next, we have wait till next fire. So wait till next fire is going to be a number that we're going to set to 1 every time we fire a bullet, and then it's going to count down till 0, and it's going to count down faster if we have a larger number here and slower if we have a smaller number. So once it does reach 0, we're going to allow the script to fire another bullet. Next we have bullet, and this is of type game object, so it's saving a game object. But we're not saving a game object in the scene, we're saving a prefab. What a prefab is basically a copy of a game object that we can save inside of our asset folder that we can pull out at any time and create copies of. In this case, we're going to be copying a bullet because the bullet is going to have a sound effect. Eventually, it's going to have a sound effect, a particle, and a script attached to it. So we need to copy that every time we want to shoot a bullet. The next variable we have is bullet spawn. Now this is going to be a game object that we're going to have in our scene, and it is going to be attached to our gun object, and it's going to be an empty game object that is going to be in the position and direction that we want the bullet to fire. So say here's our gun, here's the barrel. We're probably going to want to put this game object right here, right in front of the barrel, pointing in the direction of the gun so that we know how we want the bullet to shoot and where we want to shoot from. So those are the 4 variables we're going to be using in the script today, and here's the script itself. So actually I need to change this. Oops. And let me make it a little smaller so you can see this. Sorry, I should have done this before I started filming the video, but whatever. Alright. So here's the script that we're going to be putting inside, or this is the code that we're going to be putting inside of the gun script. So we have an if statement inside of an if statement inside of an if statement. So the first if statement, and here's the opening bracket and the closing bracket. So if this statement returns true, it's going to run all of what is in between the opening and closing bracket. So we have if input.getButton fire 1. So fire 2 is right click, so fire 1 is going to be left click. And we have get button and not get button down. So what get button is going to do is return true every frame that we are holding down the button. So basically this is going to return true every single frame as long as we are holding down left click. And then here is our second if statement, and here's the opening bracket and here's the closing bracket. So if this is true, it's going to run all of this code here. And the statement we have with inside of this if statement is if wait until next fire is smaller than or equal to 0. So remember, we're going to have wait till next fire constantly counting down, and we don't have anything stopping it at 0. So it's going to keep on counting down, and then once it passes 0, it's just going to go into negative numbers. So a negative number is always going to be smaller than 0. So if it is equal to or smaller than 0, we're going to allow the script to fire a bullet. Next if statement we have is if bullet. So basically this is just going to be an if statement to avoid errors, because our next line of code here is instantiate, or we're going to instantiate or create the bullet. But if we don't have bullet set to anything and we didn't define what the bullet is going to be, it would return us an error inside of the instantiate function. So that is why I have if bullet. So if you put a game object variable inside of an if statement, it's going to return true as long as there's a game object saved inside of that variable. If there's not, it's going to return null. And null is basically another word for nothing. So if we didn't assign anything, it's going to return false. So basically this is saying as long as there is something there, we're going to run this next line of code. And that line of code is the function instantiate. So instantiate basically means to create or to copy. And it is from the class game object, so we can just, since we're already inside of a game object, we can just pull that function just by itself. So instantiate bullet spawn.transform.position, then bullet spawn.transform.rotation. So the first parameter of instantiate is bullet. This is the game object that we want to create or copy. This can either be a prefab or a copy of a game object that is already in our scene. For our case, we're using the prefab of the bullet. The next parameter is where do we want to create the object that we're creating, which in this case is the bullet. And we want to create it exactly where bullet spawn is. So remember, we saved the game object bullet spawn. Now we're accessing the transform and then accessing the position of bullet spawn. So now that now basically we're just creating the bullet exactly where bullet spawn is, and then the next parameter is the rotation that we want the created object to have, and in this case we want the rotation to be the same thing as bullet spawn, because bullet spawn we're creating in the position, and rotation that we want the bullet to spawn and shoot in that direction. Our next line of code is wait until next fire equals 1. So we're setting next fire to 1. And 1 is greater than 0 and it does not equal 0. So while next fire is 1, this statement is going to return false, and then we won't be able to shoot again until it counts down to 0 or less. So now we have down here outside of that whole if statement. So this line of code is just going to be by itself inside of the update loop. So that means this line of code is going to be ran every single frame. And what it is wait till next fire minus equal. So we are changing it from what it already is, and we are subtracting from wait till next fire, and we are subtracting time.delta time times fire speed. Now time.delta time is the number of seconds since the last frame, and technically this number is usually going to be less than 1 unless you have an absolutely terrible frame rate on your computer. This number should be about 1/60th or 1/30th or even smaller. So if we were to just do time.delta time, wait till next fire would take 1 second to count down to 0 from 1. But then when we multiply it by fire speed, like let's say we want to fire 30 bullets per second, we're going to multiply time.delta time by 30, so it goes down 30 times as fast, so it gets to 0 30 times as fast. Or if we want to fire a bullet every 2 seconds, we would set fire speed to 0.5, so that means it would count down half as slow, so that it would take 2 seconds to reach 0. So we can change fire speed to whatever we want to change the fire speed. So yeah, this will constantly be counting down to 0, and once it reaches 0, it's just going to go into negative numbers and keep on counting down. And so if it's 0 or less, or if it's 0 or a negative number, it's going to allow us to fire again. So right now we're creating the bullet. We don't have the bullet defined yet. We're going to do that in the next tutorial. I tried to do it all in one tutorial, but I was talking for 30 minutes, so that didn't work out. So I'm just going to post 2 tutorials up at once so that you actually know how to create the bullet itself, so that we're not just creating an empty game object. We want the bullet to actually do something when we create it. So that will be our next episode. And let's head on over to the straight screen recording, and I'll show you how to do that inside of Unity. Alright, here we are inside of Unity. Now the first thing I want to do is actually create the prefab of the bullet. So for right now, I just want to create a very simple cube to represent the bullet. So let's go over here to create cube. If you guys couldn't figure out by now, I really like cubes. And let's resize that to the approximate size of a bullet. So this is a cube, and it's pretty much the worst possible bullet you could ever make. It's not going to do anything except just exist, but just for the sake of trying to figure out or trying to learn how to make a prefab, this is going to be our bullet. So we're going to call it test bullet. Now let's go down over here to create and prefab, and let's call this bullet. Now, since this is the bullet that we want the bullet to be for now, just so that we can see that we are creating an object in the correct place, let's just drag and drop it on top of the prefab. Now see that square right there changed from a gray to a blue, and as you can see, here's the prefab. It's just a cube, and it has all of the same things that the cube had, and now up here this turns blue, because now we know that it is a prefab. So now we can go ahead and just delete it up here, and bullet will be our prefab. Now the next part I want to do is create the bullet spawn. So what we're going to do over here is go to create empty, and let's call this bullet spawn, and let's drag and drop it into the gun, and let's set its local position to 0, 0, 0. Now let's change the angle of our view, and let's move it to approximately where we want the cube to be spawned. This is a very cubey, ugly gun, so there's no actual barrel of this gun. So I'm just gonna set the approximate placement to right there. Now we have an empty game object that represents the position and rotation of where we want the bullet to spawn. So let's go to our gun script and let's make some variables. So let's see, what do we need first? We need var. Oh wait, no, this is the mouse look script. Wrong script. We need to go to the gun script. Alright. First we had var fire speed, and let's have our fire speed be 15 for now. What do we have next? We had we're going to hide this variable. We're going to hide it in the inspector, and we're going to call this var. Wait, I already wrote var wait till next fire float, and let's have that equal 0, because we want, as soon as the game to start, for the player to be able to fire their gun. If, say, like you want to do something cinematic in the beginning of your game and you don't want the player to have the ability to start for a while, you could set this to a higher number, so there's a few seconds before they're able to fire, but I want them to be able to fire right away, so we're going to set that to 0. Next, we need the bullet. Oops. And what did we have after that? I know there was 4 of them. Let me... Bullet spawn. Duh. Okay. Bullet spawn was the next thing we needed to make. Whoops. Okay, var bullet spawn. Alright, now let's go over to Unity and actually apply those. So we don't need to change fire speed yet. Now let's change our bullet. We're going to drag the prefab from our project window on top of bullet. Next we need the bullet spawn, so we're just going to drag and drop it from there. And now we have the bullet spawn saved. Cool. cool. Let's go back to our script and create some script. Where do we want to put this? We'll just put it here, whatever. Okay. So first we have if input dot get button fire 1. And we need one more parenthesis, and we need our opening and closing bracket. So far we have if the left click button is being held down. And now if wait till next fire is smaller than or equal to 0. Now we have if bullet. So if we did define the bullet, which we just did right there, then we will execute the next line of code, which is instantiate the bullet. Instantiate. Did I spell that right? I'm going to assume I spelled that right. Instantiate bullet, and we're going to put that at the bullet spawn dot transform. I can't type today. And then we wanted to have the bullet spawns rotation. Oops. Alright, cool. Let's save that. I have a feeling I spelled instantiate wrong. I did. Let me pull up this and see how I spelled it here. Let's see if it's spelled right now. It is, yay. Okay, now we need one more thing to happen. We need to have the wait till next fire countdown. Wait till next fire minus equal time dot delta time times fire speed. Oops, fire speed is not capitalized. Fire speed. Oh, and the one other thing I forgot to add is that we need to set wait till next fire to 1 after we have fired the bullet. So it doesn't matter whether or not we created the bullet. So if, let's say if we didn't assign the bullet, it's not going to run this line of code, but it is going to set wait till next fire to 1 so that it's still going to be running this loop, but it just won't be creating bullets. So really it's not going to be doing anything. So hopefully you are in a situation where you did put the bullet in the inspector. So let's save that and give it a test. Looks like it's creating bullets in the direction that I want it to. That looks kind of weird. You know what I just realized is that I left the collider, whoops, way too high of a jump. I left the collider on these cubes, so I should be able to walk on them. I can. You know what? Ah, that's cool. You know, I was just doing this as a test. I didn't think it was actually going to turn out this cool. This is like art. I can like box myself in. Oh crap. Yep. Hey look, I'm making an igloo. Okay, I totally just got ADD sidetracked. But this is the end of the episode. So the next episode we will be doing is actually how to create a bullet. And we won't have stupid cubes here to represent the bullet. We will actually have bullets that shoot raycasts. So yeah, that will be our next episode. And I'm going to do this for a little longer. That's so cool. I just created a sphere of cubes. Yeah, maybe next time I won't leave the colliders on there so that I can actually like stay inside the cube. Actually, you know what? I'm going to mess around with this a little longer. I'm going to set the fire speed to, I don't know, 70, because I think that's going to be my average frame rate. And I'm going to take the bullet and I'm going to turn the box collider off. And let's see if actually, you know, I'm going to not maximize it on play so that I can see what's going on. Whoops. That is so cool. So I'm just going to create a perfect sphere of cubes. Actually, no, whoops. If I hold down right click and aim, there we go. Now I can get it. Now I can enclose it. This is cool. Who knew that like just a random kind of glitchy test could be so much fun? It'd be cool to make like art out of this. Alright, let's walk out and see what it looks like. That's cool. I can definitely tell my computer's lagging a little bit right now just because I have so many cubes. Alright, well anyways, this has been ETSKI Tutorials. Thanks for watching, and thanks for watching me get ADD and actually creating a giant sphere of cubes. Until the next episode, I'll see you guys later. Keep making games.